There was a time when Christmas didn't arrive in boxes or next-day deliveries. It arrived slowly, softly, through little moments that built wonder long before presents ever did, back when the holidays weren't about rushing to the finish line, but about living inside the season itself, when a whole neighborhood seemed to breathe in unison, waiting for the same morning light, counting down not with timers and apps, but with feeling. Boomer childhood Christmases weren't perfect, but they were present. The rituals were quieter, handmade, more human. They stitched families, neighbors, and entire communities together in ways that are hard to explain if you didn't live through it. Today, we're going to unwrap 10 traditions that once defined that season, each one now fading, if not already gone, relics of a slower world that felt closer, warmer, and somehow more real. As you listen, let one memory return to you. Maybe your first Christmas morning you can remember, or a tiny ritual your family did that no one else seemed to do. Keep it with you as we walk through this together. 1. The Sears Wish Book Ritual. Before internet ads told kids what to want, there was anticipation. It was a full experience, waiting for the Sears Wish Book to arrive like it was its own holiday. Children didn't scroll, they studied. They circled toys with thick red crayons, sometimes adding stars or hearts in the margins like a silent petition to Santa. There was something innocent about flipping those glossy pages. The suspense of not knowing if the dream would materialize. The hope that maybe, just maybe, someone noticed which page stayed open longest. Kids didn't choose from unlimited options. They dreamed from a handful of magical ones. And that limitation made every wish feel bigger, heavier, more meaningful. The internet made everything available. But in doing so, it quietly erased the joy of yearning, of waiting, of wondering. 2. Hand-delivered caroling. Today, Christmas songs come from playlists and speakers, digital, polished, flawless. But once upon a December, they came from people, real, imperfect voices, bundled scarves, flushed cheeks from the cold, singing for the love of togetherness. A knock on the door used to mean neighbors, not notifications. You open it to find a small choir of familiar faces, not a package driver rushing off to the next stop. Caroling wasn't entertainment. It was connection. It was kids learning harmony next to seniors, singing verses from memory. It was Christmas arriving by hand. Today, music fills the season, but once it filled the street. 3. Handmade decorations and popcorn garlands. The Christmas tree used to tell a family's history, not its shopping habits. Long before store aisles overflowed with glittered ornaments, children made decorations with their hands. Paper rings glued together at the kitchen table. Pine cones dipped in paint. Little figures that leaned crookedly on branches but were loved because they were yours. And popcorn garlands, thread by thread, a ritual of patience that taught children how joy was built slowly, one kernel at a time. Modern trees are beautiful, magazine beautiful, but they rarely feel like a scrapbook anymore. What vanished wasn't the decor, it was the fingerprints. 4. Neighborhood Christmas light competitions. Before synchronized LED shows and program displays, there was a friendlier kind of competition, one built on pride and neighborliness. People didn't hire decorators or compare wattage. They used whatever they had, tangled old bulbs, fresh snow on rooftops, and ladders borrowed from next door. Every house had its own personality because it reflected the hands that put it up. Families would pile into cars just to drive slowly through the neighborhood, pointing at each house, rating them with laughter, not with scorecards. The whole street became a shared celebration, every porch glowing like a promise. Now the lights are brighter, but somehow they feel lonelier. 5. School pageants and church plays. Before smartphones absorbed memories, people lived inside them. There was nothing like the nervous thrill of wearing a cotton sheet angel costume or a crooked tinsel halo as parents filled creaky folding chairs. The stage lights were hot. The lines were sometimes forgotten, but the applause was always thunderous, not because the performance was flawless, but because the children mattered. The pageant wasn't just entertainment. It was belonging. It was a moment every child felt seen. It tethered families to each season in a way that felt ceremonial and sacred, even if no one used those words. That small, simple pride, a whole room cheering for a shy child, is something screens can't replicate. 6. Visiting the real department store Santa. There was a time when visiting Santa wasn't a quick photo op. It was a journey. The big downtown department store wasn't just a shop. It was a world built for wonder. Santa's Corner felt like a portal, twinkling tunnels of tinsel, animated toy trains circling villages of cotton snow, trees taller than anything you had ever seen indoors. There was a smell to it, that sweet mix of pine, peppermint wool coats, and maybe a hint of roasted nuts drifting from a street cart outside. You waited in line not impatiently, but wide-eyed, believing you were inching closer to someone magical. And when Santa finally leaned in to ask what you wanted, it felt less like a transaction and more like a secret being entrusted to a guardian of dreams. Today's photos are clearer, but the moment itself used to be bigger. 7. Fruitcake, the misunderstood masterpiece. Before memes made it a joke, fruitcake was a staple, not because it was trendy, but because it belonged to the season. Every family had their own recipe or their own relative who insisted theirs was the best. Some were soaked in rum for weeks. Some were studded with jewel-colored candy fruits. Some were edible only out of politeness, and yet they still showed up on every table year after year. It was more than food, it was continuity, something that returned each December like an heirloom, connecting generations whether people raved about it or teased it. Today we chase novelty flavors, seasonal releases, limited editions. But fruitcake wasn't a novelty. It was home showing up again. 8. Goodwill gifting, practical presents with heart. Kids today unwrap electronics and gadgets. But there was a quieter kind of love back then. Wool socks, winter hats, pajamas, gloves lined with soft Sherpa. Gifts that didn't make you jump up and scream, but kept you warm all season long. They said, I want you comfortable, cared for, protected. Practical gifts reflected a time when families stretched every dollar, when nothing was disposable, when receiving something useful was a blessing, not a letdown. In a world of surprise and wow, we lost a small tenderness of, I knew you needed this. Not flashy, but deeply thoughtful. 9. The Christmas card avalanche. Before inboxes, there were doorsteps and mailboxes bursting with envelopes, each one handwritten, folded with intention. Families displayed them across mantelpieces, taped around doorways, hung on ribbon strings like garlands made of distant voices. You didn't scroll through updates. You heard about people's lives inside those cards. New babies, job changes, losses, marriages, moves. Every card was a tiny reunion. Today, we send emojis or group messages. Cards have become rare, almost ceremonial. Something once ordinary has now turned into a relic of intimacy. 10. The slow, shared season. Perhaps the biggest tradition wasn't something you could point to. It was a rhythm of December itself. Life slowed down. Shops closed early. People lingered. Neighbors stopped by without needing to text first. Families didn't squeeze Christmas into their schedule. The season simply was a schedule. Waiting wasn't an inconvenience. It was a joy builder. Now everything moves fast, shipped overnight, consumed instantly, replaced tomorrow. But Christmas, back then, unfolded like a story, not a countdown. Why it all faded. Technology brought convenience. But sometimes convenience sanded off the magic. Digital replaced physical. Instant replaced anticipation. Algorithms replaced interaction. And holidays, which once stretched outward into the community, quietly folded inward into private living rooms. Nothing dramatic happened. No one made an announcement. These traditions didn't end. They just dissolved. Slowly. Quietly. As if swallowed by time. What disappeared wasn't just the rituals, but the texture of Christmas, the imperfections, the slowness, the handmade edges, the touch of a human voice at your door, a memory you can feel. Maybe the hardest part is that we didn't know we were living inside something irreplaceable until it was gone. We thought there would always be carolers, always cards, always that wish book feeling. But childhood ends quietly, not with a door closing, but with traditions no longer returning. Yet, the memory remains, a soft echo, a lantern glowing in the past. If you close your eyes, you can still feel it. The cold air rushing in as you open the door to singing voices, the crinkle of wrapping paper that was reused from last year, the scratchy popcorn thread cutting into tiny fingers, the hush of the room right before the pageant lights came up. Those moments still live somewhere, not on shelves or screens, but in the space between remembering and longing. A final gentle invitation. Maybe we cannot bring back the world we grew up in, but we can pull one tiny piece of it forward. Just one. A handwritten card. A handmade ornament. A quiet night spent together without screens. A moment of slow, not to recreate the past, but to honor it. To remind ourselves that Christmas was never about what arrived. It was about how it was shared.